What is good, y'all, and welcome back to my channel. The movie I'm reviewing today is currently available for streaming on HBOMAX. There will not be any spoilers in this video. City of God is directed by Fernando Meirelles and Katia Lund, and it stars Alexandre Rodrigues. The movie takes place in Rio de Janeiro, also known as the City of God. And it takes place in the 60s, but primarily the 70s. The 60s is the table setter. Primarily takes place in the 70s in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Now, I always like to mention when I do these reviews where the film takes place because it is significant. However, it's never been more significant than in this movie. The movie is literally named after where it takes place. Now, I say that because it's a character within every scene of the movie. Like the Overlook is in The Shining, the Rio is even more prominent in this film because it's on Earth. You know, Rio de Janeiro is here on Earth. You can travel there, you can go there, but it's might as well be on Mars. Now, it is very familiar, and this isn't like the resort either. This isn't Rio like, oh, I'm on vacation in Brazil. No. You're in the slum of the slum. You're in the worst crime-ridden area in the world. This is a place where police don't mess around. And it's very important because this is like outer space on Earth in this movie. It's like, you know, it's here, but it's not here because no one with any sense would ever go in there. Now, it's absolutely a coming of age movie. Now, it's done with narration. The narrator's name is Rocket. We're getting his coming of age story, which I'll get into, but it's primarily the story of Little Zay. Now, Little Zay we start out in the 60s where he's a little kid. He's like, you know, probably about 12 years old. But you can tell where he's going in life, what he aspires to. Now, when you live in this area, you don't have a lot of hopes and aspirations. Now, there's places in the United States, you know, there's places, oh, you know, I can't get out of here. I'm going to end up, I got to be a drug dealer. I got to get into sports, this and that. You know, your options are limited also here in the United States. But here, it's even more so. There's nothing. And this kid, you can already tell he's cursing. He likes guns. He loves the life of crime, the thrill, everything about it. And he crosses that line fairly early on in his life. Now, Rocket, the narrator, his brother is a part of these petty criminals called the Tender Trio, where the movie starts off in the 60s. So Rocket lives in this area and has direct access to it. Now, Rocket's just a regular guy. Although he has access to all these things, he doesn't really do it. It's not really him. He's just kind of a regular dude that happens to live in one of the most dangerous places in the world. Now, Lil Zay crosses that line from regular person or human being to gangster very early on. And once you go past that, there ain't no turning back. Now, some people, once you cross that, they don't know what to do. Lil Zay, he's in his element. It's like he's like Michael Jordan on the basketball court. He's exactly where he should be. He's Willie Mays playing baseball. He's meant to be a gangster. That's his world. That's his life. Now, his best friend, Benny, is my favorite character movie. I'll get into him as well. Now, Lil Zay, he just can't see outside that world of crime. And he has no empathy. He has no sympathy for anyone. And again, in this world, you just have, and I know here in the United States, because I'm going to compare it just so to give context to this world and what's going on. Here in the United States are places where you can get guns, drugs, and all that. But here, you can be a 6-year-old and have access to a gun or know how to get drugs. Now, the movie progresses quickly into the 70s, which is where it all takes place. Now, Lil Zay has moved up the ranks and is a gang leader and a drug dealer within the City of God. Now, similar to the United States, there are different territories. Like there's gang wars, you don't cross over, you don't go in certain territories. Now, his goal is to take over all of Rio. He wants to be the boss of the city. Now, so there's territory wars and drug wars with a fellow gang leader, not fellow because he's kind of his foe, but named Carrot. There's so many little side stories going on here as well that blend in. You're getting to know all these characters. There's little bits of coming of age stories throughout. There's Knockout Ned. There's Lil Zay's war with Carrot. Lil Zay's relationship with his best friend Benny, which in my opinion is my favorite part of the movie, because in a lot of these coming of age movies that I've reviewed this month, you know, you have friends and then you kind of just grow apart, you know, just like with a relationship, sometimes you just go in separate ways, different interests, different lifestyles, and you go your separate ways. This happens with Lil Zay and Benny, but it doesn't happen in the same way in our normal, regular, everyday world. It happens in the way it would happen in the slum in Rio. Now, Benny's my favorite character in the movie because he lives in this world. He's best friends with, you know, one of the lead gangsters in the city, but he's also just a regular dude that just wants to, you know, he falls in love, wants to get a farm, smoke pot, listen to music, and that's it. Now, him and Lil Zay have a falling out, of course, and Rocket is there the whole way, kind of watching everything. Rocket dabbles in a life of crime. He is the observer of everything. I can't imagine just being like a regular guy and living in this world, because Rocket tells this story. He tells about some of these terrible things that happen, but he does it not monotone, but just in a very calm way, like he's delivering the story. It's not like, oh my gosh, this person got shot, or this happened, these kids, you know. He's just telling it very organically and very smoothly. And, you know, he's seeing things that most people shouldn't see. Now, the difference, like kind of like somebody that goes to war and they come back. The difference is he lives in the war zone. That's just his life. That's all he knows and has access to. He doesn't know anything else. But he's a regular, just cool little guy. He tells us the stories of Knockout Ned. Like I said, there's Lil Zay's story. It's such a beautiful and well-told story. And for me, it is my #1 and favorite gangster movie of all time. Rocket is, I relate most to him because he's the most regular person. He wants to be a photographer. He wants to live that life, but he also lives in this dangerous world. And just having access to all that stuff and seeing all that stuff, living in that world, and he's just so calm in his demeanor about the way the scenes are shot in this movie. Now, the movie, one thing that it does very well, that as a aspiring filmmaker, it terrifies me, is the movie shows you things ahead and then backtracks. It shows you, like, this opens up toward the end and then ends up there, and you see how you get there. Now, it does that several times in different sections of the movie. And it does this so you can get to know characters fairly well, but it's very tricky in filmmaking when you're not telling a linear story, when you're kind of hopping around in different places. He'll tell you, he'll be telling a story with Lil Zay, but then you'll see another character like Knockout Ned, and he'll be like, we'll get to him later. You know, that type of thing. And he always does, and it's in a smooth, organic fashion. This is one of the best movies of all time. I believe it won Best International Picture at the Oscars. Did it? I don't even know if it was nominated. I'm gonna look that up, and if it wasn't, that's absolutely criminal. I haven't done any research like that in the movie. I just love the movie because, like I say, it blends my two favorite genres, coming of age and gangster movies, and it does it to absolute perfection. Now, it has a lot of terrifying scenes in it, so if you are triggered by violence, kids with drugs, guns, yeah, it's gonna hit you. So you might want to avoid it if that type of thing bothers you, because one of the most horrific scenes in the movie involves gang initiation and these little group of kids called the Runts that live in Rio. And there's a couple other scenes that involve, and they all the terrifying scenes involve Lil Zay, and they're borderline scary. And he's laughing almost throughout. Anytime he's doing something horrific or terrifying, he's laughing. Because it's just entertaining to him being that way. It's an anthology movie, it's a coming of age movie, it's a gangster movie. I know I'm all over the place, but so is the movie, and I know I'm not describing it as organically as it tells itself, but it's one that I absolutely recommend. It is my favorite gangster movie of all time. Top 5, top 10 movie for me all time. It was my friend Shazam's favorite movie of all time. That's why I dedicated this video to him. And it's weird because he wasn't somebody that was a movie guy, but he likes this movie and it has subtitles. So, oh yeah, and if you're deterred by subtitles, please, again, I'll say this anytime I review a foreign film, please don't be deterred by the subtitles. You'll be depriving of yourself of an experience. You're getting a trip into Rio de Janeiro and the slum, in one of the worst places in the world, where you know, any bad crime area here in the United States, it's amplified there by ×5 or ×10. It's a whole different world. It might as well be outer space on Earth. It's shot beautifully. It's edited beautifully. The actors, although they are relatively amateur actors, do a fantastic job. The music and the score is there, but also you have a riddle of gunshots that also lay over the, that might as well play as a score. It's a great movie. There's literally no flaws with it. I watched it this other time. I of course own it because it's one of my favorite movies, but I couldn't find any flaws with it. I rewatched it because it's on HBOMAX. I was like, let me just watch it on there, whatever. But yeah, there's no flaws in the movie. It's absolutely perfection. Please watch City of God. This is one I absolutely recommend if you want to see what I consider to be a classic film. Another great foreign film that I'll get to when I review other gangster movies, Un Prophète, is a French gangster movie. Also something I recommend. But yeah, please check out City of God. This is one I will stress and recommend. Don't be deterred by the subtitles. Great movie. But guys, thank you so much for joining me today. I greatly appreciate your time. Please take care, be well, and have a great weekend and rest of your day.